The message is 3 lines long. You read it once, then again. Your fingers stop above the paper. Around you, Bletchley Park keeps moving. Typewriters click. Telephone bells ring. Men and women whisper over sheets of paper. But you hear none of it, because one line on the page could change everything. The Germans still believe the main Allied attack will come somewhere else. If you have read it correctly, thousands of soldiers are moving towards safety. If you have read it wrong, thousands of men may walk into waiting guns. Your supervisor looks at you. Well? You look down at the message. Your hand slips into your pocket. Your fingers touch a small brass compass. Then, 2 years earlier, you were just a 20-year-old man in Cambridge who repaired broken watches with his father. It is October 1942. Your family lives above a narrow little shop. Your father repairs clocks and watches. Every morning you wake to the same sound. Tick, tick, tick. His hands smell of oil. His workbench is covered with tiny screws, springs, gears, and cracked glass. He fought in the Great War. He never talks about France. He came home with a scar across his left wrist. Sometimes, when the weather is cold, he rubs it without noticing. One morning you ask him about it. How did you get that? He keeps working. France. What happened? He looks at you. Enough happened. Then he returns to the watch. That is how your father talks about the war. Never more than necessary. Your younger brother Daniel is completely different. He is 12. He collects newspapers and knows the names of generals better than the names of people in your street. Every morning he brings you another clipping. Churchill, Rommel, Montgomery, a tank, an airplane, another map covered with arrows. One morning he puts a newspaper beside your breakfast. Do you think you'll fight? You laugh. I don't even know how to shoot. Daniel thinks for a moment. Then what are you good at? Your father looks up from his workbench. Instead, he says quietly, some men carry rifles. Some men carry information. You remember those words. At school, you were never the strongest student, but you noticed patterns. A number repeated where it shouldn't. A letter missing from a sequence. A small mistake hidden inside something complicated. Sometimes he gives you a broken watch and asks you to find the problem. You learn not to stare at the whole mechanism. You look for the one thing that does not belong. But first, there is Eleanor. You meet her outside a bakery. She is arguing with a clerk about missing ration cards. I know you filed them here. The clerk shakes his head. They are my responsibility. Eleanor points at a cabinet. Then why is your handwriting on the envelope? The man looks at the cabinet, then at her. He sighs. You laugh. Eleanor turns toward you. You think this is funny? No. You were smiling. I was. She takes the pencil from behind her ear. Good. Then you can help me. That is Eleanor. She does not wait for someone else to fix things. She works in a local office, rides a bicycle everywhere, and somehow always finds one more problem to solve before the day ends. You begin seeing her regularly. You walk beside her bicycle while she pushes it uphill. She talks about the war. You talk about numbers. One evening, she tells you she has volunteered for emergency wartime work. You already have a job. I know. Why volunteer? She looks at the dark street. Because if something happens, I don't want to be someone who only waited. I'd rather you were safe. She smiles. I'd rather you stopped pretending safety is a choice. 3 weeks later, someone knocks on your family's door. 3 quiet knocks. Your father immediately looks up. A man in a dark coat stands outside. He holds an envelope. Your full name is written across it. You open it. There is no explanation, only instructions. Report for an interview. Work of national importance. Your mother stops peeling potatoes. Daniel comes closer. Are you going to London? I don't know. France? I don't know. Your father says nothing, but you notice his face. He understands what this means. That night, he opens an old wooden box. Inside is a brass compass. It is scratched. The glass is cracked. On the back are 4 carved letters. A-R-W. Your grandfather's initials. You stare at it. I thought this was his. It was. Why give it to me? Your father places it in your hand. Because you may need something that points home. You close your fingers around the compass. The next morning, you meet Eleanor at the railway station. She already knows. She has been accepted into wartime volunteer service. She gives you a small black notebook. Your name is written on the first page. Under it, one sentence. Write down what matters. What if I can't? Then remember. A train whistle cuts through the station. You put the notebook into your coat. Your fingers touch the brass compass in your pocket. Eleanor looks at you. For a moment, neither of you moves. Then she steps back. Go. You board the train. You still think you are going somewhere to do paperwork. You still think a desk means safety. You are about to discover that some of the most dangerous places in a war are the rooms where nobody is shooting. The train carries you south, through a country that no longer feels like the one you knew. Blackout curtains cover the windows of houses. Soldiers fill the stations. Women carry bags of rationed food. Children wear small identity tags around their necks. Everywhere, people are waiting for something. You are waiting too. You still don't know what kind of work you have been chosen for. When the train finally stops, a car takes you through narrow country roads. Then you see it. A large estate hidden behind trees. Bletchley Park. At first, it looks almost ridiculous. You expected a military fortress. Instead, you see an old mansion, wooden huts, parked bicycles, and people walking quickly between buildings carrying folders. Nobody looks heroic. They look tired. A guard checks your papers. Then another man takes them. Then another. You are given a temporary identification card. There is no uniform, no rifle, no speech about glory. Just a number. You are told where to sleep, where to eat, and where you are forbidden to go. Then someone leads you into a room filled with paper. Thousands of sheets, messages, tables, numbers, letters, symbols. You stare at them. A man beside you says, "Don't try to understand everything." You turn. He is older, maybe 50, thin, gray hair. A small scar crosses his cheek. His name is Arthur Vale. He had worked with signals during the last war. Now he works with intercepted German communications. He looks at the papers in front of you. What do you see? You hesitate. Patterns. He nods. Good. That's all? For now. Arthur does not explain much. He does not need to. He watches you work. When you make a mistake, he doesn't correct you immediately. He waits. Eventually, you notice it yourself. A sequence doesn't fit. You change one value, the whole pattern becomes clearer. Arthur takes the pencil from your hand. He circles the correction. Again, you do it again, and again, for weeks. Your world becomes paper, numbers, machines, cigarettes, tea, and sleep. You learn that the German military is not one single voice. It is thousands of voices, orders, reports, weather observations. You begin learning how codes are broken, not like in the newspapers. There is no single brilliant moment where everything suddenly makes sense. Most of the time, it is repetition. A machine runs, a page is checked, a possibility is rejected, another is tested. You work until your eyes hurt, then you go back the next morning and start again. But Bletchley has another lesson. A correct answer is not always enough. You have to know what the answer means, and you have to know when to trust it. Machines don't get nervous, he tells you once. People do. Then there is Thomas Reed. You meet him during your second month. Thomas is 23. He talks constantly about food, about women, about football, about how terrible the tea is, especially about the tea. He has a small habit that makes everyone laugh. Whenever he is nervous, he flips a coin across his knuckles. Heads, tails, heads, tails. He never bets with it. He just keeps moving it. You'll get used to me, he tells you. I doubt it. Good. That means you're paying attention. Thomas becomes your friend almost by accident. You eat together, work together, sleep in the same cramped building. Sometimes you spend 12 hours sitting beside each other without saying more than 10 words. Then, at 3 in the morning, Thomas suddenly whispers, "Do you ever wonder what they're doing right now?" Who? The Germans. You shrug. Sleeping. Exactly. He flips the coin. We're awake so they can sleep. You smile. Then the machines start again. The work continues. Outside, the war is enormous. Inside, it becomes one line of text at a time. You soon discover another important part of Bletchley. The women. They are everywhere. They operate machines, sort messages, type reports. One of them is Margaret Ellis. She is 24. She works as a communications assistant and has a habit of correcting people's mistakes before they realize they made them. One afternoon, you leave a stack of decoded material on the wrong desk. Margaret catches it. That's not going there. You stop. How do you know? She points at the folder. Because the destination code is wrong. You check. She is right. You look at her. You read German? Enough. And enough English to know when someone is about to cause trouble. You take the folder back. Thank you. Margaret shrugs. Don't thank me. Fix it. Not someone waiting at home. Not someone standing behind the men. She moves information. She catches errors. And sometimes one small decision from her prevents a much larger mistake. Weeks pass, then months. The war outside becomes louder. North Africa, Italy, bombing raids, convoys. Reports arrive faster. You start seeing references to a future operation. At first, nobody tells you what it is. Then you begin recognizing the names: France, Calais, Normandy, possible invasion sites. The Germans are watching the coast. The Allies are preparing something in Normandy. And you realize something that makes your stomach tighten.
The people whose messages you are reading are not moving pieces on a board. They are making decisions about where men will live and where men will die.
One night, you finish a report and leave the room. The corridor is almost empty. You reach into your pocket. The brass compass is still there. The glass is scratched. The needle trembles. For a moment, you think about Cambridge, your father's workshop, Daniel's newspapers, Eleanor's bicycle, the little black notebook. Then Arthur appears behind you. You should sleep. I will. He looks at the compass. Family? Yes. He nods. Then he walks away. You put the compass back into your pocket. You don't know it yet, but soon you will carry it into the most dangerous night of your life. By June 6th, 1944, you know the invasion is coming. Then the messages arrive. Normandy. Allied troops are on the beaches. You sit inside Bletchley Park, hundreds of miles from the fighting, reading German reports as they come in. Your hands shake. You touch the brass compass in your pocket and force yourself back to the paper. The Germans are confused. Some commanders still expect the main attack near Calais. You find a message that seems to contradict everything. You read it again, then again. Arthur leans over your shoulder. Check the time. You do. You realize your mistake. One wrong interpretation could have sent the wrong warning to Allied commanders. Arthur takes the page. Good, you caught it. Hours later, he leaves to check another communications station. He never comes back. A vehicle carrying him is hit on the road. No final words, no goodbye, just another empty chair. You return to work. Days become weeks. Messages, sleep, messages again. Then one afternoon, you intercept a German soldier's report from France. He writes about a village, rain, a broken bicycle, a little girl hiding near the road. He leaves part of his ration for her. For a moment, the enemy becomes human. Then Thomas takes the next message. His coin slips from his fingers. It hits the floor. You look at him. Thomas? He doesn't answer. The telephone rings. You turn toward it. When you look back, Thomas is gone. No warning, no goodbye, just an empty chair beside yours. The war does not end when Thomas disappears. That is what surprises you most. The telephones keep ringing. Messages keep arriving. Someone still complains about the cold, and your chair is still waiting for you. So you sit down. You work. The weeks after Normandy become a blur of reports and maps. Allied forces push through France. Paris is liberated. The Germans retreat. But the war is not over. You keep reading their messages. Sometimes you recognize places. Belgium, the Netherlands, the German border. Every new location feels closer to the end. And somehow, the closer the end gets, the longer every day feels. You begin keeping the brass compass on the desk beside you. You don't use it. You simply need to see it. One evening, Margaret notices it. You still carry that? You nod. Why? You look at it. I don't know. She doesn't ask again. By the winter of 1944, you barely recognize yourself. A door slams somewhere in the building and your whole body tightens. A telephone rings unexpectedly, and your hand freezes above the desk. Sometimes you wake before dawn, convinced that someone is calling your name. There is nobody there. You simply lie in the darkness until your breathing slows. Then you get up, you go to work. Because there is always work. In December, the Germans launch their offensive in the Ardennes. The messages begin changing again. Armored formations, fuel, roads, movement. The old machine starts turning once more. You understand the pattern now. You know what a dangerous message looks like. You know what panic sounds like when it is typed onto paper. And you know how much can depend on a single line. This time, you make fewer mistakes. Not because you are no longer afraid, because you have learned to work while afraid. Then, slowly, the reports change. The German offensive fails. The Allies advance. The end is coming. You can feel it. But the final months are not peaceful. There are still trains, still orders, still people dying, still messages arriving from places you will never see. Then, in April 1945, Berlin is surrounded. You read the reports. The city is collapsing. The German command is breaking apart. On May 8th, the message finally comes. Victory in Europe. You stare at the paper. Around you, people begin to smile. Someone laughs. Someone cries. Someone simply removes their glasses and closes their eyes. You don't celebrate. You look at the compass. Then at the empty chair beside you. Thomas should have been sitting there. Arthur should have been somewhere down the corridor. Neither is. You put the compass back into your pocket. The war is over, but you don't feel finished. Months later, you return to Cambridge. The house looks smaller. Your father's workshop is exactly where you remember it. The same wooden drawers, the same tools, the same clock. Tick, tick, tick. Your father looks at you. He does not ask what happened. He simply opens his arms. You stand there for a moment. Then you hug him. Daniel is older now. He is 14. He has grown taller. He still keeps newspapers. But he no longer asks you whether war is exciting. Eleanor is waiting outside. She is not the same girl you left at the station. Her hair is shorter. She carries herself differently. She has spent the war working emergency assignments and helping organize civilian relief. She did not simply wait. She built a life while you were gone. You walk together through the town. For a while, neither of you speak. Finally, you say, I don't know how to go back. Eleanor looks at you. You don't have to. She takes your hand. Just go forward. No promise that everything will be normal. No pretending the war never happened. Just permission to keep living. You return to ordinary work. You repair watches with your father. At first, the ticking bothers you. Every sudden sound makes you look toward the door. When a metal tray falls in the workshop, your hands freeze. Your father notices. He says nothing. He simply keeps working. Tick, tick, tick. Years pass. Your father dies. Daniel grows up. The little shop changes hands. Eleanor stays in your life, not as the girl from the railway station, as the woman who became your partner through years neither of you expected to survive unchanged. You eventually have children, then grandchildren, and the war becomes something you rarely talk about. Decades pass. One autumn afternoon, you sit in your old chair beside the window. Your grandson is looking through a wooden box. He finds the brass compass. The glass is still cracked. The initials are still carved into the back. A.R.W. What is this? You take it from him. Your great-grandfather gave it to me. Did it work? You smile. Most of the time. He turns it over. Why is it scratched? You look at the compass. For decades, you thought the object mattered because it reminded you of home. Now you understand. It was never really about finding your way back. Your father gave it to you before you left because he knew something you were too young to understand. Home was not a place waiting unchanged for you. Home was the people who kept moving while you were gone. Your father, Daniel, Eleanor. The men whose chairs stayed empty. The people whose names disappeared into reports.
The people who never made it home at all. Your grandson looks at you. Did you save people? You think about the messages, the mistakes, the nights at Bletchley, the soldiers on the beaches, Arthur, Thomas, the little girl in France. You shake your head. I don't know. Then you place the compass in his hand. The needle turns, then settles. You watch it for a moment, and finally understand the thing your father never had to explain. You were never carrying a compass to find your way home. You were carrying a reminder of what you were trying to protect. You look out the window. The street is quiet. No sirens, no telephones, no coded messages. Just an ordinary evening. And for the first time in your life, that feels like enough.